Hello, welcome to the channel. I am Toriaphoria and I'm back for my second video on this channel. And it's gonna be a health and fitness message. If you're new, or if you're just tuning in, because probably anybody who clicks this as of the time I'm uploading it is gonna be new, obviously. This is a channel I've made to be a spiritual channel, and it is Christ-centered, and it is a safe space for LGBTQ plus community. And I just wanted to make a message regarding health and fitness for a collective, and how we can glow up this summer, or if we've already glowed up, then how we can glow up even further, and not just physically, but spiritually, mentally as well. So, how can we stay on track with our goals? That's like the big question of this whole message here. I think a lot of people struggle with staying on track. That's the part that they struggle with. It's not that they don't get motivated. It's not that they don't have some plans in place. It's the fact that a lot of people struggle with staying consistent. So we are going to discuss how to stay consistent with your goals and how to improve our lives. And I am definitely going to be taking advice from this too. So I hope that you benefit from this message. Alright, so first things first, the first thing that I felt was important to talk about is the importance of sleep. And I did use cards for this to guide the messages that I got from this reading, by the way. Tarot cards. Remember, objects are just objects, and there's no reason to fear them because they're just objects. And tarot cards, one of the benefits of them is that they have images that make your mind, your unique mind, remember things or get reminded of things for your personal linguistic framework. And that's why they work for getting messages from Spirit. So, from Holy Spirit. If you so choose to ask for them. So, the importance of sleep. There's 3 things that came to the forefront of importance, as you can see. And there are so many reasons why sleep is important, not just these, but these were really like the standout things that I felt I needed to make a slide for. For leptin, it's a hormone that increases your feeling of being full. And on the right hand side of this slide, I have little mnemonics, or like little things to help you like remember if you're not familiar with these yet. And it might help you just to remember them. So for leptin, there's like, imagine somebody saying, "Want some breakfast?" "No, I slept in, so I'm not hungry." It doesn't have to make sense entirely. It's just a way to remember it and its function. So if you sleep, if you sleep regularly, you're gonna be able to feel full more, and you're not gonna feel as many like urges to eat like crazy. And the hunger hormone, ghrelin, is lowered when you're sleeping properly. So imagine somebody saying, "Are you hungry?" "Yeah, my tummy is growling." See, so if you are hungry, that's ghrelin functioning properly. But we don't want ghrelin to be too high, because if your ghrelin is too high, you're going to be really hungry. That's probably why, this is like a little personal tangent, but if I ever try to pull an all-nighter, or if I'm ever trying to stay awake for a really long time, or if I'm going through like, say like a hypomania cycle or something like that, I definitely, well, I don't necessarily eat during that as much, but I have definitely noticed personally for me, if you're trying to fight sleep, it's very common to eat instead to stay awake, because the food gives you a little bit of energy. And not only that, but without the sleep, you're going to feel hungry because the ghrelin is not being lowered like it should be daily. So, yeah. And then for your insulin, sorry about any sounds. I'm going to get like a better setup someday, but I've got squeaky headphones, I got a squeaky chair, and I'm going to drink some water. Just a second. So for insulin, sleep, sleep helps it to be the amount of sensitive that it needs to be for it to be working properly for you. Well, it makes it so that your body is healthily sensitive to insulin. So that's connected to your pancreas and stuff, but we're not going to get into all that. Especially if you have just make sure to follow your health care provider's plan for you, and especially if you have any sort of diabetes or anything like that. But so who doesn't need insulin? Edward Cullen. That's the only thing I could think of because it rhymes. Who doesn't need insulin? Edward Cullen, because he doesn't need sleep. So, and he's a vampire. So you need your organs to be functioning properly, and sleep takes care of all of that. It takes care of, honestly, you could probably think of any system of the body, and sleep helps it. So make sure to get your 7 to 10 hours, maybe more if you're a teenager. I don't really know. It really depends on the individual. So listen to your body, and remember that it's probably better to get the recommended 8-hour thing is pretty close to what you need. Some people need a little bit less, but most people are not going to do well on a lot less. And some people, if you sleep too much, that can also be bad too. So I find for me personally, I do really good with 9 hours regularly when I'm not going through any when I'm not going through any issues with feeling hypomania or something like that. But yeah, 9 hours tends to be really good for me as a woman. I know women tend to need more sleep than men, so just keep that in mind. Alright, so we'll go on to the next slide. The next thing that came through was we need to be smart with our goals. That's a mnemonic for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound goals. Remember that discipline and consistency will always oh god, I can't believe I almost said that word. Nah, I ain't saying that word. Discipline and consistency will always outweigh motivation. It will always be stronger than motivation. Motivation is good, and it can get you to discover your discipline and your consistency. But discipline and consistency are really what we need to exercise the most to achieve our goals, our glow up goals, in everything, really. Not just in your body goals, but also in your hobby goals, your career goals, your relationship goals, using relationship as an umbrella category, because there can be friendships under that, there can be family relationships under that, there can be the desired romantic relationship under that, if applicable. So, yeah. To have something to be specific, that means, make sure it's not a huge umbrella category goal. If you want to lose weight, okay, make it more specific. Do you want to lose fat? Or are you trying to lose, most people, when they say they want to lose weight, they want to lose fat. So if you want to lose weight, make sure to remember you actually just want to lose fat. maybe you want to gain muscle. Okay, so make sure to make that goal specific. And let's say that you want to lose a certain amount of pounds for your goal because you've done the calculations with the BMI guideline. You know what you need to be at to be considered in a healthy range. Maybe you're an athlete and you're not following that guideline as closely because it's not as accurate with athletes. But maybe you want to gain a particular amount of muscle. Maybe you're just trying to do body recomposition and like lose fat and gain muscle. Either way, you'll want to know exactly what you want, and you'll want to be able to measure it. So we'll move on to measurable. You'll want to be able to measure these things. So there's a lot of ways to do that. Do what's comfortable for you, and don't do something that's going to go against your boundaries, especially if you have a history of any disorders. But make sure to somehow measure your goals, and that can be as simple as journaling. That can be as simple as making a journal entry at the beginning of every month, and then at the end of every month, reviewing what you got done and making a plan for the next month. And they should be achievable goals too. So make sure to make your goals realistic. We're not gonna like shoot for the Taj Mahal if you've got money goals, if you've got manifestation goals. You know, I'm all for manifestation, but there is a point of realism that needs to be there for you to be grounded in reality still. I know the whole thing is like, oh, we're Delulu. Let's like love that for us, but no, we're not Delulu, okay? Make your goals achievable because that is you're not gonna reach your goals without your bridge, right? Your bridge of incidents. That was a term that I heard recently, and I love it because it really helps me. So I'm not sure if I should mention who I heard it from, because I'm not sure if it's like common knowledge or not. It probably is in that community of like law of assumption, law of attraction. But anyway, have achievable goals and make them relevant to a specific area of your life, and try to keep organized. Like if you have your body goals, try to keep them a little bit separate from like your career goals, unless they're combined, I guess, unless your career literally has to do a lot with your athletic ability. But yeah, keep your goals relevant to the matter at hand, and they should be time bound. So, just let yourself be detached, but also let yourself make a plan for a year. If you're new to making time bound goals, start small. Start with 6 months. Where do you want to be in 6 months? Where do you want to see yourself 6 months from now? And then, if you are okay with that, maybe even say, where do I want to be 1 year from now? Where do I want to be 2 years from now? Alright, so next slide. Whimsy. We need to have whimsy in our life. Without it, we are going to be curmudgeonly, little Debbie Downers, negative Nancys, whatever the masculine equivalent is of those. Leave a comment if you can think of one, because I can't right now. We have to have whimsy in our lives. Whimsy is more than just, it's not a girly thing, by the way. It can be a masculine thing too. No matter your gender, like if you're a masc girl, if you're androgynous, non-binary, anything, like whatever you identify as when it comes to these like gender constructs in society, whimsy is for everybody, okay? Everybody. And I'll just read the definition here. It's the way joy finds you differently each time through laughter, stillness, curiosity, or a sudden softness in the middle of a day. Not one thing, but many small delights that make life feel lighter. So we're aiming for that lightheartedness. We're aiming for that feeling of being on top of the world, even when we're not necessarily, even when our environment is not necessarily feeling like that, but we feel like that. And that right there is alignment. It's coming into alignment with where you want to actually be. And this is even biblical, you know, it's what Paul said in Romans, or like, you know, think upon good and lovely things. That part. At least I think it was in Romans, but anyway. I had to edit that because my dog was barking, but yeah, so we're aiming for lightheartedness and positivity. Like, it's a very biblical concept. We don't want to constantly be taking in a bunch of negative news about the world. We definitely want to be aware of it. We want to be proactive. It's good to be an activist. But at the same time, we don't want to constantly be consuming content that's making us feel hopeless or disgusted with the world, or is constantly hyperfixated on violence or anything like that. We want to be in a realm of positivity and goodness, because honestly, I mean, positivity begets positivity and negativity begets negativity. So it's important to have that mindset going into your plans for your body. It's important to be able to look at yourself in the mirror, even if only for a moment at first, and to realize that you were once a child, a little kid, and when you're mean to yourself, you're being mean to that little kid. You are becoming the bully that bullied you when you were a little kid. And that bully had a bully too. Make no mistake. Bullies have bullies, and their bullies have bullies. You know, the whole thing of hurt people hurt people. So you need to look at yourself in the mirror for even a moment. If you are really triggered by looking at yourself in a mirror, don't do it, okay? But if you can, if you have confidence that you can do that, just try to look yourself in your pupils, in your eyeballs, and nowhere else, if that's all you can do. And just remember, those are the eyes of a small child that used to be you. And that inner child is still there, technically. You just need to nurture your inner child. And partake in things that you want to partake in. Like when you were a little kid, if you never were able to have a lot of things that you wanted as a kid, maybe due to poverty or anything like that, or maybe just really strict parents, let yourself partake in things that you were never allowed to as a kid. Explore the world in a safe way with Christ by your side. So yeah. Next slide. Pay attention to the names that you call yourself, okay? So, cow, pig, whale. Yeah, literally look at how cute and innocent they are. They really don't deserve to be compared to gluttony. They're animals. I know that people tend to compare themselves to them because they're like big when they get older, and they do have they rely on fat and muscle for their function as animals in this world. So just like them, we have to respect our adipose tissue and our own brain. You've got to come to terms with the fact that fat is necessary for life, just like muscle is necessary for functional living. And when we deprive ourselves of nutrition, that right there can be another form of gluttony. I'm not saying that it always is like a sin or anything, because a lot of the times these things are very much rooted in actually other people's sins against us that have weeded our hearts, that have made our hearts grown up like into like weeded gardens, basically. But that's not insurmountable. There's nothing impossible with God by your side. He can, well, I should say Elohim, because I do believe God is, I do believe that male, I don't just believe it, I know it because it's written. Elohim is they, and They are both male and female. So, the whole reason that it's always Father and Jesus came as a man is because of the deep seated resentment against women for the fall of man. So just keep that in mind. You can refer, I feel like God comes to me personally in both ways, depending on which aspect I need in the moment. Which this is coming up on the next slides soon here, but you can talk to the Father like a father, you can talk to the mother like a mother, and they will reply to you with signs and synchronicities as a father and as a mother. They are our parents first and foremost, they being the one, because they are one despite being an anomaly. So our parent first and foremost is in heaven / the realm unseen, yet still discoverable in our hearts, since it says the kingdom of heaven is within us if we look for it and choose to search for truth. So yeah, if you've struggled with anything restrictive, I really, really implore you to try to think about how your actions affect others, to try to think about how you present yourself to the world as affecting the world, and to try to understand that if you give off this vibe of, oh, my body doesn't need fat, my body doesn't need muscle, I'm the outlier, I'm the exception to the rule. If you're living like that, that's misguiding numerous people, especially if you're in the public eye. Technically, you don't even need to be in the public eye, though. If you are on a college campus, if you are anywhere and you are living in denial about your health because you're taking an active role in shaping your body into something that it was never supposed to be, that right there it can be a form of gluttony in the sense of being gluttonous with your own selfish desires for what you want and what only you want. So that's just something to consider. Gluttony is not just about, things like eating. It can be very spiritual. There's a spiritual gluttony and there's a physical gluttony, but I feel like people oftentimes really don't realize that spiritual gluttony is the main thing when it's being discussed. So there we go. We'll move on to the next slide, okay? Bye cute animals, they're so cute, just like you. Okay, so now we're gonna go and talk about the importance of strength training. So we've all heard of it, the mitochondria, this powerhouse of the cell, is well, maybe you haven't heard of it if you're a kid watching or something and they're not teaching that anymore, but I kind of doubt that. Hopefully they're still teaching it. Hopefully they're still teaching a lot of things, but anyway, as adults we all pretty much know that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And guess what? Some people don't know this part. It's created when you work out your muscles. Okay, it's created when you work out, period, but especially when you work out your muscles. It'll give you energy and it will promote healthy sleep-wake cycles. So it's important to work out. If you're someone who never works out, who just lazes around in bed all day, who doesn't have any sort of routine with this at all, who maybe you have a really physically laborious job, you still need to warm up and cool down and stretch and have rest days where you do mobility workouts and maybe light yoga or something. You still need to be doing that, because if you have a physically laborious job and you are not doing those things, that can lead to injury, that can lead to arthritis, that can lead to wear and tear issues. It can lead to, if you're not strengthening your joints, the muscles around your joints, that can lead to improper form while you're at work. No matter what, it's important for everybody to have some sort of routine in place for strengthening their body, because it will help you at work, and it will also help you to achieve a better body. So your bone density is important to take care of as well. If you're never strength training, if you're somebody who pursues cardio and only cardio, say if you work like a desk job and all you do is cardio, or maybe you work a desk job and you don't do anything else, you're gonna have weak bones. So yeah, so like there's certain things that put a healthy and regulated amount of stress on your bones that stimulates them to stay strong. And things that I can think of off the top of my head are like jump roping, squats, even if they're just half squats at first, or like some kind of a regression on squats. Don't do anything that you know that you can't do, especially if you're going through physical therapy or something like that. Only do what is within your ability to do, okay? But there's a certain amount of stress that needs to be put on bones for the typical person who's not going through like an injury or something, that will allow their bones to stay strong. So yeah, I don't know why I say that. I wish I would stop doing that. I'm still working on not using as many filler words, but anyway. Joint protection. Yeah, when you strengthen, you gotta strengthen the muscles around your joints. Hips and knees are super important because, oh my goodness, so many issues can originate from your hips and your knees. Sometimes the hips actually can like go into the knees and then into the ankle, and yeah, so definitely tend to your hips, tend to your knees. Do lots of stuff that like hip opener exercises and lymphatic drainage type of things, and study. Okay, if there's one piece of advice I can give, it's study. Take accountability for your own education. There, even in high school, you gotta take accountability for your own education. That's what college is all about. When you go off to college, it teaches you to take accountability for yourself, because ain't nobody gonna hold your hand in college. There might be some people who will, but it's not generally. That's generally what you learn in college, is that you are your own teacher. You are your own professor. And it's even if you can meet with professors, I mean, you really are your own teacher. So take accountability and do your studying. There's free resources all over the place if you've got access to the internet without restriction. So it's fun too, okay? It is fun. You just gotta have a passion for something specific, and don't burden yourself with learning everything at once. Just pick a little niche and enjoy it, Here is a slide of some ideas that you can start studying if you don't already have an understanding of anything when it comes to fitness. You can pick a few things and just enjoy your journey. So you can study calisthenics. Okay, these are like little keywords that you can search on YouTube, and you'll be able to learn about them. And I want you to, I'm gonna suggest, don't just look up exercises or workout videos. Look up the teaching videos about these things online, because there are a lot of videos on here that are teaching videos. And the more of those that you watch, the more you're going to be prepared to follow along with workout videos in a way that is suitable for your specific needs, your unique individual care plan, basically. So calisthenics, which is like a body weight training, Pilates, which was actually created by a man, and it's really for everybody, okay? It doesn't matter your gender. It's very useful for anybody, okay? Weight training with equipment like dumbbells, barbells, cable machines, so like Smith machines or stuff like that. So look into weight training, because it can also be, or assisted machines, like they have it like a place like Planet Fitness or something like that. All of those are beneficial, okay, to study and to get used to. Especially if you are somebody who partakes in a gym membership. You don't need a gym membership, but if you are going to participate in a gym, you're going to want to get a little bit familiar with the equipment that's used for weight training and get comfortable with it. So there's also mobility fitness. Mobility fitness is like strengthening it's the difference between mobility fitness and functional fitness is kind of like mobility, in my head at least. I feel like mobility fitness is kind of like the preceptor to functional fitness, because mobility fitness kind of gives you like the prerequisites that you need to get better at functional fitness. Functional fitness is movements that will actually help you in the real world, with real chores, with real work, with real movements that will help you to function in reality. So that's why it's called that. Those are very important, and I love them for, especially if you're not really like, if you're just kind of looking to be healthy, if you're an older person and you're not really looking to go crazy, you're not looking to do handstands, you're not looking to do high intensity stuff, you're just kind of looking to keep your body healthy, or maybe get a little bit healthier. Mobility fitness and functional fitness are really good to look into. And then cardio and aerobics are really good to study for at what heart rate range you burn fat best at, according to the calculations that have to be done to know that for your specific body. It's good to be familiar with why cardio is important, why it's important not to abuse it, and also all of the different things you can do that qualify as cardio / aerobics. They're kind of like the same thing, but anyway. And then, really, really, really important, study the rules of warming up, cooling down, and stretching, okay? Dynamic stretching versus static stretching, and when to do either one, when it's appropriate to do either one. You'll want to study that for sure. It's really important to do a warm-up of some kind, even if it's only like 3 to 5 minutes before you start your workout, okay? And it's really important to do cool downs too. Stretching is often included in the warm-ups and the cool downs. And dynamic stretching is basically stretching that keeps it moving. It keeps it moving, okay? You're not going to hold the stretch. You're going to stretch and then keep it moving. Keep it moving. That's like a warm-up type of thing. And then for cool downs, you never do static stretching where you hold it for a really long time, like a long time being like 30 seconds to a minute, or maybe even like less if you can't handle that yet. Cooling down is something you're gonna never want to do on cold muscles, because it's cooling down, right? And static stretching is kind of for cooling down. So you're not gonna want to do static stretching if you haven't warmed up your muscles somehow, because that can actually lead to injury. So just do a little self-class on all of that type of stuff. So finally, you'll want to do some studying on recovery day methods. You'll want to consider active rest if you are really, even if you work out 5 days out of the week, you still need to have, if you want to work out every single day of the week, for example, you've got to have some rest days in there. It doesn't matter if they're active rest or not, that you've got to have some kind of active rest in there. And personally, I highly suggest active rest, because active rest will make it so that you're not just lazing around in bed all day after a workout. And part of what you'll want is to be consistent in your effort that you're giving in your workouts. You're not going to want to do something that you've never done before and do something way too intense for yourself, because that tends to be what leads to us lazing around in bed the next day. That's not going to help our muscles recover. So look into rolling your muscles out with a foam roller or a shin splint roller or anything like that, especially if you run. which running is not necessary for being fit, okay? You don't have to run to be fit. You don't have to do intense stuff to be fit. You don't have to like hurt yourself to be fit, okay? I feel like there's a super toxic mentality amongst some personal trainers that is just so unbelievably toxic. So if you're struggling with obesity, if you're struggling with overweight, do not think that you have to hurt yourself in order to get to your goals. You do not. It should be challenging. It should be fun. If you feel like you are like hurting inside, if you're having trouble breathing, anything like that, that is not what working out is supposed to be. So just keep that in mind. If you're not having fun, there's something wrong. So, yep. And then look into yoga as well. It's super, super helpful. Even beginner stuff is like really nice. Look into any types of recovery exercising and physical therapy exercising. There are tons of things out there as resources of things you can do to recover from any injuries or anything like that. So we'll move on to the next slide. A question I would like you to ask yourself is, are you self-isolating? Are you self-isolating? If you are, I want you to consider why, and I want you to consider cognitive behavioral therapy. And if you study it, you'll know how to kind of implement that into your own life. Cognitive behavioral therapy is very helpful, even if you're just on your own struggling, or underinsured. You'll be able to identify some things, some core beliefs that you have. And if you feel like you are somebody who doesn't deserve friends, who can't have friends, who can't find your crew, well, I would suggest you to make a vision board, okay? Even if it's a digital vision board with Google Docs or slides or some app that you have or anything like that. Make yourself a vision board and look at it every day for a while. Not because you have to, but because it's more of that concept of thinking on good and lovely things, right? The more that you think about it, the more you're going to align with the person that has what you want. Everybody wants friendship to a degree. Everybody kind of wants somebody to care for, to care about them. And that's normal. That's completely natural. And you're going to be able to find it. You just have to identify what is within you that's actually like keeping you from the people that you are supposed to meet in this life. You can be social even if it's only online. Even if you're really not self-isolated, but maybe you're just isolated. Maybe people are isolating you. If that's the case, you can, if you're watching this, I'm guessing you have access to the internet. So you can still socialize online. There's tons of friends to be had online. Exercise safety and precaution if you're, even as an adult, exercise that safety and precaution and privacy. Be safe, okay? Be safe online. But at the same time, don't be too afraid of socializing online and making friends, okay? It's important to have that. And to have a place where you can express yourself, even if it's just in the comments of a YouTube video. Even if it's just on Reddit or something, okay? So find your communities and have fun. I'm going to drink a little bit more water before I continue on this slide, but we're going to talk about the Bible a little bit. Dun, dun, dun. Don't worry. I ain't a conservative, and I'm not. I'm very polarizing, I guess. And I know that there's a lot of there's other people like this out there too. But it's okay. So, Armor up spiritually for the best results both physically and mentally. Your mental is actually, it's so important. Your mental needs to be addressed before the physical can truly be addressed. So if you tend to your mental state, your glow up will follow naturally, okay? This is a safe space for LGBTQ plus community. I'll just reiterate that. Oh, and I think I already said this in the other video. I should have written it down, but if you're curious, if you've never been to this website before, if you've never studied this truly before, visit stopbibleabuse.org and read and just spend some time with that, okay? So we're going to go into Ephesians 6, and I'm going to reiterate armoring up spiritually. The shield of faith is what we're said to have above all. The faith doesn't come naturally, okay? So if you don't believe, if you're not a believer, that's okay. It literally says in the Bible that nobody really believes. Nobody believed. You get belief through studying and through research. And even before that, you actually kind of get it through a feeling of like maybe somebody you know in your life, or maybe somebody that you liked who acted in a certain way that you saw that there was light in them, and it gave you like a feeling of like, wow, there's more to this world than just corruption. If that right there is faith to a degree, you know, it's a little tiny mustard seed of faith, but it's still faith. So most people don't really believe. So if you're ever like criticized, or if you ever feel bad for not believing, like if you're an atheist or something, hey, do not let yourself feel bad about that. That's perfectly fine. If you're an atheist, accept yourself where you're at, okay? And accept other people where they're at too, because according to the actual, what is actually written, nobody believes, okay? Not really. There's people who feel like they have personal proof for themselves, and I will attest to that. That's where I'm at. I'm just somebody who thinks that they have personal proof for themselves. That's called testimony. So it's very personal to you, and nobody has the right to judge you, okay? Just remember that. Nobody. They can't judge you. Okay, so we'll move on. The helmet of salvation is also another thing. To me, that reminds me of the crown of, like, especially in Revelation, it goes over that too. In like Revelation 3, there's something about that. But yeah, don't let anybody take your crown from you, okay? Don't let anybody make you doubt that you're saved. Like if you ever have fears of hell, or like hellfire, or whatever these crazy fake Christians like to spew, do not let anybody make you doubt your salvation. That's why you keep your helmet on, your crown, and you keep it close and safe to you, to know that God has got your back. Even if you don't have his, he still tries to be there for you. You know, we can push God away, and that's the reason why sometimes we are left to our own devices, is because sometimes you just can't. It's just like it's reflected in humanity. You know, you can't be there for someone who doesn't want to be there for you. For example, let's say you got blocked by somebody blocked you. If you're a good person, you're not gonna disrespect that block. Like, you're not gonna go out and stalk them, or like be chase them down and try to find them in a way that's creepy. You know what I mean? You're not gonna disregard their boundary. You're gonna respect their boundary of blocking you. That's what God is. Like, that's what God does too. He respects your boundaries. So he's not gonna be there for somebody who doesn't want him to be there for them. So, yeah. And then sword of spirit. The sword of the spirit, the word of God, aka the Savior. If you've done your studies about how the word was with God in the beginning, and the word was God, and the word came unto the world and was flesh, and the world accepted him not, all of that, you keep that close by. So that, to me, is like keeping spiritual wisdom and doing your studies, submitting your will to God before you try to interpret the Bible or preach or anything like that. Because if somebody's not submitted their human will to God before they interpret the Bible or before they go out and preach, chances are they're putting their human will into it a little bit, which human will can be conflated with what your parents want for you. It can be conflated with attachments to a partner who is on a different page than you, or a crush that's on a different page with you. Human will is selfish, okay? So you gotta detach from that before trying to interpret the spiritual world, like Word of God. Keeping the belt of truth. To me, that's also very heavily connected to the sword of the Spirit, but it's also connected to not being dishonest with yourself, not lying to yourself about any issues that you might have. And, well, when taking this into a context of our goals for our body, right? Don't lie to yourself, and don't lie to other people. And so, remember, lying can also be withholding truth, okay? Like, for example, if somebody's cheating on their partner and they're lying about it, they're not, let's say they're not lying up front to their partner's face because their partner never asked them, are you cheating on me? And they've never said, no, I'm not cheating on you. They've never outright lied because they've never been asked. It doesn't matter. It's still lying. If you are going out and you're being dishonest and you're hiding things, that's not wearing the belt of truth, you know? So keep your belt of truth on you, and remember that you're kind of in a relationship with yourself. So if you're hiding things from yourself, if you're lying to yourself about certain things, that's kind of like cheating on yourself. So if you've got bad habits to break, if you've got good habits to build, just give yourself some grace, of course, because remember, we've all been sinned against. There's certain things that other people have done to us that have resulted in our bad habits occurring. So give yourself some grace, because that's what God does for you. So, but he also expects us to stop lying to ourselves as well. So breastplate of righteousness, that's another thing. There's a lot in the Bible about righteousness. So, one of the things you can do is use any of the search engines, and just look up that word and everywhere where it occurs in the Bible. It's a good way to start if you don't know where to start. Keeping the breastplate of righteousness is kind of like just the bottom part that I wrote there. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. If you want your fruits to be good, you gotta stay in the Spirit. If you keep the statutes of righteousness close to your heart, if you know them because you studied them, then you're going to be able to see rotten fruit, and you're going to be able to see good fruit. You're going to be able to have discernment, spiritual discernment, and you're not going to be an accuser of the brethren, because that's Satan's job, okay? Satan is the one who accuses. God is the one who rebukes. Rebuking strengthens, accusing breaks down. So, and then feet equipped with the preparation of the gospel of peace. That is really like being prepared, right? Like having done your work, your shadow work, having done your studies with the Bible, not only the compiled Bible, but everything that you can research, that gives you knowledge. Study world religions. Study all the world religions. Take a world religions class, even if it's just a little self-study class that you put together on your own for free, with free resources. Study your upbringing. Consider how your parents raised you and how that affected you, whether in both good, the good and the bad. Consider how you were prepared in life. Do you feel like you were underprepared to handle the world, or overprepared? Or maybe you were prepared kind of nicely. No parent is perfect, okay? When we honor our parents, it's honoring, well, first and foremost, we're honoring God because God is our true parent. And there's no parent better than him. So that's honoring father and mother is really first and foremost honoring God. And honoring our human father and mother is like just remembering that they're children here. They really are technically children here. So at some point you'll realize that your parents are not heroes. They're not infallible beings. They're not perfect. They've actually been through childhood just like you went through childhood. And if you've got really bad parents, sometimes honoring them just means not bad-mouthing them or gossiping about them a bunch, and just kind of letting them be and not having anything to do with them. That's okay, you know. Honoring your father and mother doesn't have anything to do with having to be a part of their lives. You don't have to be a part of their lives if they've made it clear that they're not going to respect you or your boundaries. You just don't want to be someone who continually like tries to break your parents down, or like tries to get revenge, or like is obsessed with them. You know, you just gotta have to let it go, and just pray and hope for the best regarding that, and just like keep in mind that everything will be made right in the end. So people who aren't fit for a new earth are not going to be in that new earth, and it's going to be okay, because when you follow the 2 greatest commandments and you love God first and foremost above everything else, you're not going to have attachment to things in an unhealthy way. So it's going to be okay. To things or to people. You're not going to have unhealthy attachment to things or to people in unhealthy ways. So really, with the manifestation stuff and the law of assumption and attraction, honestly, one of the best ways to master detachment is to follow the 2 greatest commandments of the Bible. So, and you can look that up if you don't know what they are. So, Galatians 5 I really liked the particular part where it says, if we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. That kind of reminds me of not taking the Lord's name in vain. If you're taking the name Christian, if you're taking the name in any way, if you're claiming to be a follower of Christ, the one who died, the Lamb who was slain, that one from Isaiah 53, the forbidden chapter, even though it's not technically forbidden, it's just kind of like given that as a nickname in Israel. If you are a follower of that Lamb who was slain, truly, then indeed, let us also walk in the Spirit that he walked in. He came as a man because, think about it, if he came as a woman, he would have been killed right away, like sooner than would have been desirable, because he needed to be here long enough to give an example of how to walk, of how to live. And yeah, just keep that in mind. So we'll go on to the next slide. Be honest with yourself and release past energies. This is really about exes and things like that. I'm gonna get some water. This is regarding, for this reading, exes kind of came up as like a big theme here. And hey, it doesn't matter if you never dated them, okay? If they are haunting you, if they are haunting your psyche, that, my friend, is an ex, okay? It doesn't matter if they don't acknowledge it. If they did you dirty, if they made you feel like they liked you and then ghosted you, if they are making you question your self-worth, if they are important to you, if you have love for them, and they hurt you in some way, that's an ex, okay? It's okay if you didn't date them. It's okay if it was a situationship. You can call them an ex in your own little realm of like your world, your psyche. Just accept that, okay? Because don't beat yourself up for loving someone that never loved you. Hey, that's a reflection of how you give love to someone who doesn't know how to give love, probably because they don't love themselves yet. So just keep that in mind. Remove your aggravating factors that are messing with your schedule and your routine. You're going to want to remove anything like that. So that does mean evicting those exes from your psyche. If you're thinking about an ex too much, or a past love, if they're hurting you, if they're haunting you, you gotta detach. You gotta detach. I don't know what else to tell you. It can be so difficult. It doesn't mean you have to stop loving them. You can still have love for them, but you'll want to detach and just not. Just don't give your time to that. Because think about it. If you put more time into yourself, you're gonna attract what you want. You're gonna attract either somebody better, or maybe in the cases of like trying to manifest a specific person, maybe they will come back to you if you're in that type of situation. They might, you never know, but I would highly suggest never to limit yourself to a specific person. I would say think of the qualities that you want in a partner, all the qualities that you want: physical, mental, emotional, everything that you want in a partner. Think of that and try to manifest that. And either that specific person will meet those standards or they won't. But when you limit yourself to manifesting a specific person and you don't attach or better onto the end of that, you might end up manifesting a situation that's not that great. Because you might end up manifesting the specific person, but they're not at the level that you wanted them to be at yet. They're not up to the standard that you had yet. So now you have to deal with the specific person who's just not up to par. And then, so that's a whole mess in and of itself. I highly suggest music therapy, because music therapy will help you to understand yourself a little bit better, especially if you're somebody who listens to music to express your feelings, who listens to sad music when they're sad, who listens to happy music when they're happy, or angry music when you're angry. If you're someone who vibes with that, I want you to start from childhood, from the moment you started doing that, and analyze your music, okay? Look through the lyrics, just have fun listening to it, and take it a little bit day by day, okay? It can be kind of overwhelming, because I guarantee you, if you do this, you're gonna start to have compassion on your little like child self, and you're gonna start to see how other people hurt you, and you're also gonna see how many people are hurt like this. Not just you, but even like your exes, even like your parents. You're gonna start to see that the world is very interconnected. And with music therapy, when you've handled the past stuff, you can start to find music that expresses how you feel in the present. That's a very healthy thing to do. And you can organize your feelings, and you can organize your mental states, and you can kind of start to understand who you are right now, what you want, who you love, even if they're not loving you back, who you want to love, who you want to manifest, and stuff like that. So I definitely highly suggest music therapy. And free writing is also really helpful, because even for creatives who maybe want to be musicians, or they want to be an author, whether a fictional author or a non-fiction author or both, free writing, maybe not daily, you don't have to do it daily, but just regularly. It's stream of consciousness writing. It's writing in a way that you think, letting yourself write in the way that you think. Even if there's typos, even if you write really in like a really like Y2K abbreviated, way with what do you call them? I don't even know what to call them anymore. They're so like normal to me. Like writing the word U as the letter U, or anything, any slang, just writing the way that you want to write in the moment. If you do that on a Google, like a document of any kind, if you like to type, do it digitally. If you like to text, do it on your phone. If you like to do it by hand, you can do it, with paper and pen or pencil. But do some kind of free writing as an experiment to see where you're at. It can also be like a thought dump, especially if you feel like you're overthinking or you've got way too many thoughts in your head. Do grief rituals that you like, any that you like that resonate with you. If you have lost somebody, if you have lost someone to death, if you have lost somebody to, if it feels like death, if it feels like you've lost a relationship, anything like that, do grief rituals, okay? They're not bad. They're perfectly fine when you're doing them with Christ by your side. You can do any that resonate with you, any that you like. All of it, it's all to do with your heart's intent. You got to release that grief. Music therapy can be one of the ways to release that grief. To acknowledge that it was felt, that it might be felt continually for the rest of your life, but you don't have to dwell on it. And we have to remember to sorrow not, right? To sorrow not over those who have passed away, because they're resting and we're going to be able to see them again. You'll know, like, for your personal relationship with God, you'll know because he can communicate to you what they would have wanted you to know, and you'll get signs and synchronicities and stuff like that. So, I mean, we're not supposed to claim things that we don't know. So, like, we don't personally know any specific person's salvation, because it's actually like in a private realm technically. But we do know through our communion with God what he wants us to know, and what he wants us to know about these people who have passed away. And he can also communicate to you through signs and synchronicities what he wants you to know about your exes, or about people that have left you or abandoned you, like your parents or anything like that, you know. So allow yourself to feel joy. If you struggle with anything like survivor's guilt or anything like that, you're going to want to address that. But think of how God would want you to feel. He wants you to be joyful, because the whole gospel is dubbed good news for a reason, right? It's like a party. You're supposed to be partying, not being sad all the time. It's okay to mourn, of course. Remember, there's a time for everything. There's a time for mourning, and there's a time for rejoicing. But generally, the gospel is good news, and the gospel generally makes people feel like partying, makes people feel joyful. So allow yourself to feel that joy. Don't feel guilty that you're alive. Don't feel guilty that you have a life to lead still. And praise God, actually, that you have that, because that means that you can still be used to add light to the world, and to get rid of corruption and poverty and disease through your work. So, and then remember to get outside into nature regularly, because being in nature is so important, especially in this crazy, hyper-technological world. It's really important to connect with nature. Make sure to do that, okay? If it's really wintry where you are, I encourage you to bundle up and enjoy the snow a little bit somehow. Get snow pants, layer up your undies with leggings and stuff like that. Have a really nice winter coat, have really nice winter boots. Wear your hat, a face mask type of thing, earmuffs, whatever you gotta do to get your skin protected and safe. You can do that and still enjoy the winter. As I'm making this, it's about to be summer here, but, you know, this is gonna be a timeless reading. So, yeah. And then treat yourself occasionally to some self-care items, okay? So if you set aside for yourself just a little bit of funds regularly for yourself, you might be in a situation where you don't have much right now to do this, but once you're in a situation where you can afford to do this, even just setting aside 10% of what you spend every month on things that are like, I mean, not like things that, I don't know. It depends on how you want to organize it for your budget, but let's say you spend a certain amount every month. Take 10% of that and set that aside for yourself. Just for you. It's like a little savings fund for you to have for things that you don't necessarily need to survive, but they're gonna make you feel good about yourself. Like maybe you like a specific brand of sunscreen for your face, or maybe you like nail polish occasionally, or some cute, like, high quality makeup that you like, or some accessories that you want for yourself, or maybe even food. Okay, it is okay to get yourself some treats that are food, as long as they're what you really want and they're something that you know you can exercise self-control with. So make sure not to neglect yourself. Okay, I guess we want, and you can buy yourself flowers too occasionally. I know we want, like, partners to do this stuff for us. Sorry, dog barked again. I know we want partners to do this stuff for us if we're single, but it's important that we give that care to ourselves first anyway before we get into a relationship, because that's how we attract a healthy relationship, is remembering that we are individuals first and foremost. Even if we're gonna end up getting into a relationship, we don't want to be codependent for them to give us love. We want to already be giving that love to ourselves, and by doing so, we're gonna attract somebody who's on the same wavelength, who's also already giving themselves love. So they're not gonna be needy or clingy. They're not gonna try to dominate every aspect of your life. This is a thing that men really struggle with, is especially Christian men. They struggle with trying to dominate women, trying to exercise control over women, that in a really corrupted way because of a corrupted interpretation of the Bible. And yeah, we're gonna go on to that in the next slide actually, so let's move on to that. I think it's coming up after one of these ones. This is gonna be a really long video, sorry, but it is kind of like a little class on health and fitness and spirituality. I hope it benefits somebody out there. But another really important thing is to accept yourself where you are at. If you are a beginner with working out with health and fitness, start at a beginner's level. Okay, and keep in mind, use critical thinking. There's a lot of personal trainers on here and people on here who say that something is a beginner's level and it's not. So do your own studying so that you can be smart. Smart as a serpent. Okay, it says, Jesus said, he said to be as innocent as as innocent as doves, but as smart as serpents. So make sure to use critical thinking. Do not trust everybody. Don't even trust me. Okay, I'm not a perfect person. There's nobody on here who's perfect. There is nobody on here who has a right to tell you that they are the source of the divine, because they're not. It's just that a lot of people tap into that source. That's all. So you can go to source directly. Okay? You don't have to go to church. You don't have to be confined within walls of some random church that judges you, that makes you feel uncomfortable. You can go straight to source yourself and establish your own little community, your own little tribe. And a lot of people are doing it on here, and I love it. I love it. So if you need to take breaks during a workout, make sure to do so. You can always pause on any workout video. I know it can be frustrating, but do not feel ashamed for that, okay? The people that you see that are doing these insane, like, almost superhuman working out, they started somewhere, okay? Or they were raised from a child in a really blessed, fortunate home that just happened to nurture them as a very athletic person automatically, okay? Do not blame yourself for not being on their level. Everybody starts somewhere. Take at least 1 or 2 rest days every week, okay? Even if they are active rest days. If you have history of an ED, okay, I don't know if I want to say that on here because I'm not sure how strict YouTube has become with their stuff, but If you've got history of issues, mental disorders, follow your boundaries as needed and directed by your healthcare provider or caregivers, including yourself, okay? Listen to yourself. Do not neglect your instincts. If your healthcare provider or your caregivers are saying something that you know is wrong because you studied, perhaps you are also a healthcare provider, or you're in the medical, I almost said industry because it is kind of an industry in America, but if you're in the healthcare field, trust your instincts, trust your studying that you've done, your knowledge that you've done personally, and make sure to follow your own boundaries, okay? If you're trying to lose fat for health, remember to research about caloric deficits. It is vital to losing fat. You are not going to be able to overcome obesity or overweight unless you face the reality of needing a caloric deficit. And it does not need to be extreme, okay? No extremism. We are against extremism here. We are all about balance, temperance. Okay, think of the temperance card in tarot. Alright, so next we're going to go on to generally good advice for eating. You're going to want to study nutrition for yourself so you can have a well-rounded understanding of all the nutrients you need and why. You do not need to memorize everything, okay? It's just good to take a little bit of a class on these things. And people who are nutritionists, even they don't have everything memorized, okay? So don't worry about that. It's just a way to get your mind familiar with all of it. It's kind of like building a database in your brain that is foundational. So that way when you go and you navigate the world, you're constantly reminded of those foundational things. And so you're just that much more equipped to handle food and eating and taking care of your body. Eat high volume yet low calorie foods for fat loss or for even muscle gain, because it's going to help you stay full and it's going to help you not be hungry all the time. There's no reason to be super hungry when you're losing weight or trying to reach your goals in some way. There's no reason for that. The stomach is made to be filled, okay? It's made to have a volume in it. And if it's only liquid volume, that's a problem too, because that's going to go away quickly through your bladder. So it needs to be nutritious food that you're filling it with. The high volume and low calorie foods do tend to be fruits and vegetables. You're going to want to get some healthy fats in there and some protein in there, because protein, it lowers the hunger hormone, ghrelin, which we talked about. Are you hungry? Yeah, my tummy is growling. It's going to lower that. Protein is super important. So combine eating high volume yet low calorie foods with, so like fruits and vegetables, with making sure to get healthy fats and protein and plenty of carbohydrates, because carbohydrates are energy. Do not deprive yourself of carbohydrates. You know, carbohydrates are literally everywhere. Fruits and vegetables are carbohydrates. Okay, so don't villainize bread, pasta, grains, things like that, okay? If you're gluten-free, make sure to follow your own dietary needs and stuff, but don't villainize foods, okay? Don't drink the bulk of your calories. Wow, that's a hard word to say. Be conscientious of extremely high calorie beverages. Did you know that when you go and get a coffee at Starbucks, those things can be like literally a meal or 2 meals in a drink that gets drunk in, like, for me, oh man, I could down one of those in like 10 minutes. They're so delicious. There's ways to reduce the calories and customize your drinks. Not that you have to support Starbucks or anything, oh my god, but just any coffee shop. Personally, I was a barista. I worked at a little local one it's not a big name one, but So I was a barista, so I'm really familiar with these things. But if you look into how to customize your drinks and make them lower calorie, you can request a barista to make them for you like that. If you have money to invest in equipment to make at home for making your own drinks and products, you can make your own coffee at home and drinks too, like not just coffee but matcha lattes, chai lattes, Italian cream sodas, Red Bull drinks, anything you want. You can make all of that at home too. You can do little like honestly, learning and education is so freaking phenomenal for everything. You literally can become a connoisseur of everything. You can become that jack of all trades, but actually be kind of like adept at every single one of them. Okay, don't doubt it. Do not deprive yourself of your cravings. Translate unhealthy cravings into healthier cravings if you're struggling with unhealthy cravings. For example, if you crave pizza one day, you might just need more calcium, more healthy fats, more carbohydrates in your diet. Maybe you're depriving yourself of those things. Or maybe you are just really, really used to eating junk food all the time. Not that food is junk, okay? It's just like it becomes junk if that's all that we're eating. Maybe you're just accustomed to eating conveniently because you're really busy and you've got a really high pressure, high stress job. If that's the case, consider meal prep. Consider the science of meal prepping, of freeing up your time on 1 or 2 days to make your meals for the entire week or even a month if you are going to make some that can be frozen in the freezer. Let yourself have treats sometimes too, though. Okay, don't villainize pizza. Don't villainize these luxurious foods that we in this country are blessed to have access to all the time. Don't villainize them, because they have value too, especially if you are in a state of like homelessness or like trying to survive or something like that. So, yeah. Have patience for your flowers to grow. This also came through in the cards and in my charms. Let your light shine, okay? Be consistent in small ways to build discipline. Oh, and with let your light shine, don't hide your light under a bushel. That whole biblical concept. Let your light shine, don't hide your light under a bushel. Be consistent in small ways to build discipline. And an example of that is like, there's this book I really highly suggest. Am I allowed to do that? Am I allowed? Of course I am. There's people who do it all the time on here. Hold on. Let me get it. I just want to make sure I don't mispronounce the name. It's called Hello Habits. It's a book called Hello Habits by Fumio. Let's see. I'll just make sure. Hello Habits by Fumio Sasaki. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a Japanese man who wrote this. Hello Habits by Fumio Sasaki. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. Because I know sometimes they say they're the cadence of it. I'm not familiar with. But yeah, I'll put it up on the screen so that you can look at it. It's a really good book. I really, really like it. I highly suggest it. It will help you with that. It will help you with the being able to be consistent in small ways to build discipline. It even goes into like some science and some psychological studies and stuff like that. About willpower and what willpower really is. So, practice shadow work to recognize any barriers to your own personal growth, and it will actually allow you to even recognize barriers to growth in other people too. Do your shadow work. Study up on that. Try to be social, even if only online, like I said earlier. Spend time reflecting on your life story thus far and how it strengthens your testimony. Be cautious when you fall in love or get a crush, okay? Make sure to put the Savior first and foremost so that your steps can be guided to the most ideal partner who will love you like he loves. And as I like to say often, who will love you like they, as one, will love, because it is also a very feminine energy, okay? If you're a man, you gotta start respecting that God is also feminine. You have to. Because if you're neglecting that, you are pushing away an entire half. I don't know if I should say half, not mathematically, but you're pushing away an entire facet of God that now does not have access to you because you're denying that part of God. So, and it also will help heal relationships with your mother, if you have, and father too. Like, if you, and also if you're a little bit of a misandrist, a hater, a man hater, a male hater, if you're one of those, it will also help you to heal that if you recognize that there is also a masculine energy in God too, okay? There's both. There's both. If you're being a misandrist, if you're being a misogynist, that is not good, okay? So, oh, I like this slide. I love how pretty this slide is. Man, blue is such a pretty color. Okay, so Jesus was a feminine energy. The New Testament. Okay, the New Testament is kind of like very symbolic of a feminine energy. And Jesus was that feminine energy in a masculine structure. His body, literally, but also the Old Testament symbolic of like the masculine structure, the Ten Commandments, that holds the New Testament, the feminine energy of what we're going to go into right now. Divine feminine energy is healing, sacrifice, being gentle, being meek, but also being as wise as a serpent, rebukes to strengthen others, the divine helper, whose purpose was disrespected by most men. Okay, that's divine feminine energy. Divine masculine energy, when it's actually truly divine, is structural and recordative. It's purifying, it's practical, it's expressive and prayerful. Think like Solomon, like Isaiah. It's hardworking. It is having intelligence from God before having intelligence from mankind. And that is true intelligence. It's also true spiritual wisdom. And it is acknowledging that abandonment of the divine helper, the woman, and recognizing that feminism, true feminism, is equalism. Misogyny is not, it's not divine. Okay? It is not a divine masculine energy. This is the importance of honoring Jesus' feminine and masculine duality. The world is struggling so much with hyperfemininity and hypermasculinity right now. And this is like fruit of Satan, okay? So hyperfemininity includes arbitrary ideas of femininity leading to plastic surgery abuse or other body-altering abuses, including eating disorders and other mental illnesses. Misandry, internalized homophobia, misandry being the hatred of men. It's just the opposite of misogyny. And it can also be internalized. So women can have internalized misogyny against women. And then if you've got both misandry and misogyny within you, you're just a hater of all of mankind. So, misandry, internalized homophobia, transgenderism without self-control or admittal of coveting, which is, gender envy. And hey, trust me, I literally have that. Don't come at me because I won't. It's hard for me. I'm not going to go into my personal details too much, but this is something that I've had to come to terms with too. Okay, so don't get offended if you're a transgender. You are completely accepted here as you are, as the pronouns that you choose, the identity that you choose, because I completely understand, okay? And I might not understand your individual story, your individual way of being, but I have my own little identity issues that I have. So, but in any case, I mean, if you're interested, if I'm not super picky about it, but like my pronouns are she/they, so that's just, yeah. Technically, it's also, there's a he in there too, but I'm not gonna get into it. But that's the thing, right? Christ accepts us exactly as we are because he knows exactly what we went through to arrive at this place. And you can study these things too. Study identity disorders, study gender dysphoria, study body dysmorphia, study all of these things, okay? And you're gonna get a better understanding of what you're going through. And hyperfemininity can also lead to internalized misogyny, like I said. So that's like a hatred, women hating women, or women bloodlusting after other women. Hypermasculinity can lead to much of the same, but in the opposite sense, or kind of really similar. But we'll just go into the hypermasculinity now. Arbitrary ideas of masculinity leading to burdening oneself with all the responsibility in the world, which, as I addressed on the previous slide, abandoning and disrespecting the divine helper, the woman. It can lead to eating disorders, it can lead to misogyny, it can lead to internal homophobia, it can lead to transgenderism without self-control or admittal of coveting, which is gender envy, and it can also lead to internalized misandry. So that can be for the case for some transgender people. They become just like, if you're becoming that masculine energy that is being is kind of hateful towards other men. Like if you're a man and you're being hateful towards other men, that's internalized misandry. And honestly, I notice it a lot. Nowadays. It's really off-putting for women too, by the way. It's really, really off-putting for men to be so hypercritical and jealous and insecure around other men, and to just break other men down. It's so off-putting. The same goes for women. Women who continually break other women down, who make women feel lesser than because of their internalized misogyny. No, none of that. It's so off-putting. This is the truth regarding what Paul was referring to in Romans 1. True sinful lust is bloodlust, for it results in innocent blood being shed, okay? So just really let yourself mull over these things. Go back to the basics, read these books, read the passages, and make sure to go to that site and study up on that, okay? StopBibleAbuse.org. This is the relevance of thou shalt not covet. Mark 11:24. Therefore I say unto you, what things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. Matthew 21:22. And all things whatsoever ye shall ask in prayer believing, ye shall receive. Philippians 4:19. Sorry. Oh my god, I just recorded my sneeze. I'm not gonna edit that out, I don't think. Probably not. I'm too lazy. If it sounds horrible, I'll edit it out. I can't believe I just sneezed. Oh well. I actually sneeze really loud when I'm in private, but when I'm in public, I try to be considerate of others, and I sneeze really quietly because I can sneeze like a freaking hyena if I'm not careful. Okay, so I'm having allergies too because it's springtime right now. Philippians 4:19. But my God shall supply all your need according to his riches in glory by Christ Jesus. Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Man, that's a deep one. I might have to pick that apart a little bit with my brain. Now faith is the substance of things hoped for. That's really interesting. So kind of like, that's really, really interesting. Honestly, like if you're a YouTuber and you hope to have subscribers, for example, that's what I'm thinking of. If you're a YouTuber and you hope to have subscribers, technically being on YouTube with no viewership, with no subscribers, is faith. That's actually really interesting. That's a substance of things hoped for. And every YouTuber with subscribers went through this. If you really think about it, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Faith can be in anything. So if you have, like, if you're having faith that eventually you'll become a YouTuber that has a community, if that's something that you have faith in, even just existing on the platform is technically, yeah, it's technically evidence of things not seen. So it's someone being on there with no reward, with no viewership, is actually evidence of them having faith. Interesting. I just was thinking about that. So the relevance of thou shalt not covet, there's no reason to covet when we really have true faith in God. We don't have to covet other people's channels. We don't have to covet other people's subscribers. We don't have to covet fame. We don't have to covet friends. We don't have to covet lovers. We don't have to covet bodies. As one thing I really wanted to get into, okay? With fitness and with, let's say you're struggling with overweight or obesity right now. We don't have to covet. We don't have to covet someone else's body, because guess what? Underneath that overweight or obesity is your unique, beautiful body that is going to be carved out like marble with your good habits that are being built right now. You don't have to covet anything, because you were blessed with a unique body that has beauty, that was literally knit in the womb, and it was, even before it was in, like, you were destined to be here. So your body is one of a kind, and if you're not if you're not arrow ace completely, like if you are not somebody who's decided they don't want a partner ever, chances are you have someone out there who was specifically destined for you, who is going to absolutely just adore your body, okay? Wherever you are, it doesn't even matter if you've reached your goals or not yet. They're gonna love you exactly as you are, because you're aligning with the truth and with the light, and you're gonna find the other person out there who you want to align with truth and light as well. So there's really no reason to covet. We've got no reason to covet, and don't worry, don't be ashamed if you've done it. Every single freaking person on earth has done it, okay? I don't care if you're transgender, doesn't matter. We've all done it, literally. So accept yourself as you are. Forgive yourself for any mistakes you might have made, and keep in mind that if your identity, your identity is what it is, okay? So accept yourself. If you are male to female, female to male, if you're anything of that sort or something else, accept it. That's where you're at. That's where your psyche is at. That's perfectly fine, okay? These gender constructs they were never meant to be so like hard-lined. We're humans, first and foremost. That's what we are. So it's okay. Just accept your feminine side. If you're being hyper masculine, let that femininity back in so you can have that balance. If you're being hyper feminine, let that masculinity back in so you can have that balance. It will only add to what you truly want. It's only gonna make you more truly yourself. So I like this quote by William Shakespeare over here. Oh, beware, my lord, of jealousy. It is the green-eyed monster which doth mock the meat it feeds on. That's so true, okay? Because remember, I was just talking about bloodlust. Coveting and jealousy does lead to bloodlust. Because think about it, okay? When there's all these readers on here who like talk about karmics. Oh, what a trigger word, right? What a fucking trigger word if you're used to that. Yeah, I'm gonna cuss, okay? Because guess what? Tower of Babel. Language is language. Language will always change. Slang will always occur. And just because you say words like fucking shit. You know what? I might have to actually bleep that out, because YouTube is being crazy these days. I'm probably gonna bleep that out. Wait, I don't have to, because I'm not even monetized yet. Never mind. I'm not gonna do that. Well, I don't know. I don't want the comments to not be commented. Like, I don't want there to not be comments. It's so frustrating nowadays, isn't it? But just keep in mind that the Tower of Babel is what makes language. It's not only what made language different, it literally is what caused the ability for there to be misunderstandings and miscommunication. The way that you can talk to a coworker at work and you can tell them one thing and they don't get what you mean at all. They don't like, there's a complete disconnect. And you're speaking the same exact language, English. If you're speaking English. That right there is what the Tower of Babel, that's what happens. That is what occurs. So every single person has their own personal linguistic framework. Don't judge people for cussing. Don't judge people for using crude language or what you consider to be crude or obscene language, because yeah, it might have originated from crude and obscene places, but nowadays it's literally a whole new language of itself. So just don't abuse it, you know? Like, you'll know if you're using cussing from like a unrighteous place. You'll know, and you'll be able to monitor it. So just make sure that you're not letting it feed a resentful or unrighteously angry spirit within you, and you'll be Gucci. But yeah, I was just thinking of how, like, the jealousy with the tarot reading on here, of like, or the obsession with the obsession with monogamy. Not that, no, trust me, I'm very monogamous by, like, naturally, but the inability to stop trying to possess people as your property is so destructive. It's not just destructive to other people, it's destructive to you. You don't own those people, okay? Remember, every single person here belongs to God, whether they believe it or not. That person that is your ex who went off and dated somebody else, or maybe you're in a really messy situation, or maybe they cheated on you, but you're still trying to give them, like, grace, and you want to get back together with them. Whatever it is, or maybe you hate their guts now. Maybe you hate their guts now, and you're really having a hard time letting go of hate because you considered them your property, and you consider them dirty now or something. That's really not a good mentality to have. It really, really isn't. It's only going to hurt you. It's only going to hurt them. It's going to hurt other people too down the road, because guess what? It's kind of like feeding into purity culture. So don't do that. If you're someone who does that, okay? So yeah, it really does mock the meat it feeds on, because when you're being jealous of somebody, you're mocking them, whether you realize it or not. You're mocking their body. You're saying that, oh, your body did this and that, and that's my body. Is my body, belongs to me. I'm the one who gets that body. I get to do this and this to that body. Like, that's so corrupt. If you really, really think about it, it is such a corrupt way to think. Okay? Pro-choice, A. Heck yeah. Pro-choice, pro-consent, pro-faith. We ain't about that anti-choice, anti-consent, anti-faith here. No. No siree. Okay, let's move on. I think it's getting to the end. I think this might be the... Oh, no. I have a different... My slide, that's the last slide, is very obviously the last slide. Okay. So, the importance of self-love is what we're going to go over now. Being in love with every part of yourself. Taking care of your own needs and not sacrificing your well-being to please others. Not settling for less than you deserve. This is so important, okay? If you have standards that you need your partner to meet, don't buckle, okay, to some culty mentality. If you're a Christian and you're looking for a Christian partner that suits you, oh, please, I beg you, do not buckle to these crazy fake Christians out here. You're gonna find what you truly deserve. You're gonna find what you need. And guess what? Sometimes by being yourself, you might even end up making fake Christians realize, it sounds so dramatic, but the error of their ways, okay? So just be yourself. Don't be scared. We don't have anything to fear here but fear itself, truly, because fear fuels fear, and fear is destructive. It is a destructive force. It will destroy everything in its path. No, the fear that I'm referring to is the destructive fear. The fear of God is, I know it's the same word that we use now for these things, but fear of God is different than destructive fear. Fear of God is respect and reverence for a powerful, powerful being that is far above our understanding. So, and it's respecting that the life here we have is borrowed time. All right. So, if it's meant to be, it'll be. That means if you are really loyal to somebody in your heart right now, of like a soul connection, like say perhaps the labels of like twin flame or soulmate or anything like that, you'll know what resonates with you personally. If it is meant to be, it will be. So you can just rest easy in that thought and focus on yourself and all your goals. I know that you're an individual. I know you got passions. I know you have an amazing personality. I know that you have your own career and like creative goals that you want to reach. You've got them. You just gotta let go of that. You gotta free yourself from the shackles of heartbreak. It doesn't mean that you won't still be heartbroken. It'll just mean that you can bandage up that heartbreak and kind of move on and get on with your life with all the things that you want to do. When you follow the 2 greatest commandments, you receive the standard of true love from God by loving Elohim first and foremost and at the center of everything. With this standard of love, you have the means to give love to yourself. When we don't know how to love ourselves, we don't have the standard with which to truly love others as we are commanded. And by loving yourself truly, your glow up will naturally follow. Really think upon that the second commandment of love your neighbor as yourself. Think about how people can corrupt that if they're not loving themselves. Say that somebody hates themselves. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. Say they say, I don't love myself, I hate myself. So if that's the case, I can just go out and love these people with a standard that I haven't received. I can go and love these people. Even though I hate myself, I'm still going to try to give love, even though I don't know how to love. That's what's happening in the world right now. So you gotta love God first and foremost, because He's gonna show you how to love yourself and forgive yourself. And if people are never forgiving themselves, they're hurting people that have already forgiven them. And if you don't know how to forgive somebody who really, really hurt you, just remember that forgiveness doesn't mean bowing down. It doesn't mean to disrespect your own boundaries. It doesn't mean that you have to have them in your life. It just means that you stop obsessing over them. You stop putting all of this weight onto them of being the one person or the only people in your whole entire life that have hurt you, or being the sole reason for all of the misery that you feel, because nobody is the sole reason of all of our misery. In fact, a lot of the times we are sometimes the reason for our own misery. So take self-accountability and let people go who need to be let go. Leave it in God's hands, and you will be blessed like so much by doing this. 2026 and timeless energy. Glow up time, okay? Glow up time. Thank you for watching. I will be back with another video as soon as I can. Right now, as I'm just getting off the ground, I'm aiming for once a month, because my routine, it really just depends on like the noise levels and like certain things, but I definitely want to be a channel that has 4 videos per month minimum. So yeah, if you feel like subscribing, go ahead and subscribe, because I will be around. I'm committing to this. I'm not going to be one of those people who deletes their videos, okay? I won't. I've learned like so much now about what I truly want to do on here now, and I'm more committed to that. This is just my spiritual channel, so like I'm probably going to have a gaming channel one day too. And I also plan on having a music channel that's going to be combined with animation, because I really, one of my biggest dreams is to be a musician that also has animated music videos and stuff like that. So even if sometimes they are collaborations or whatever. But yeah, look at all the fruitiness. It's okay. We accept ourselves as we are. Oh, here. Okay. Go give yourself some love and um just vibe with life. All right? Yeah. Bye-bye.